Using line of stack tips or anything. Okay, well, you may or may not have seen the Supermicro unboxing kind of thing that I just did, but this is more for play side. That's kind of for all my work stuff and, you know, acting like I know what I'm doing. Now, if you want to act like you don't know what you're doing, you buy one of these because it has all the bullets and the minigun and the ammo and all that shit on it. But in spite of all the crap on the board, this is actually very good. This is probably kind of sort of in the same league as like the Asus Rampage 4 Extreme X79 boards. And I would have gotten one of those, but everybody has one of those. I mean, that's just boring. So, Better Business Bureau. That's why I bought it, actually. I'll just come right out and admit it. And on the back, we have a whole bunch of Gigabyte-inspired marketing bullshit. Doesn't mean anything. Supercharge, Instant OC, who gives a crap? Open this guy up, and we'll look at the accessory package first. Apparently, this has quite a few, in stark contrast to the Supermicro. So here we have. Oh, that's kind of cool. In case I can't read the board itself, I can figure out what all this stuff does, and that's where my RAM slots are. Okay, that's good. I'm glad it pointed that out to me. And okay, that's not too terribly helpful. Here we have overclocking guide. I'm sure this is just like the Bible here. It tells you kind of how to do all the overclocking. I have no idea how to do it, so maybe that'll be helpful. Not garbage. These here are for plugging into the built-in voltage monitoring ports on the board, so you can plug in your multimeter, and if you're doing some really serious overclocking, you can use these. Over here we have a bunch of crossfire bridges and a couple of, well, actually, maybe one crossfire bridge and then 3 flexible SLI bridges, which are just going to go in the trash because I don't use those. These are for helping to plug in your front panel connectors. I think Asus has the Q connector. This is the same basic thing. This makes it a little bit easier to plug and unplug them. That's actually one of the more challenging parts of the whole build. Moving right along here, we have a rear USB 3 adapter deal. 2 USB 3s. I'm sure this plugs into a header on the board somewhere. Our other little bundle here. This one has 2 eSATAs, Xpower. I've never seen anybody use these, but I guess it's kind of cool to have. I think it has the SATA cable, and I guess this is a Xpower to 2 SATA power adapter cable. We have our back plane. It's black. That's cool. A bunch of little SATA cables. I think these are too short for my case, but they include them anyway. That's nice. And oh boy, we have a certificate of quality and stability issued by MSI for MSI. That should really inspire confidence right there. We have a manual and some other flotsam and jetsam, driver disc, frisbee, whatever you want to call it. Moving right along to the meat of the issue here. Pull this board out, try not to drop it. Oh yeah, look at that. Look how pretty that is. Okay. One of the relatively few boards on the market. This is XL ATX, kind of like the EVGA Classified series. Or some of them anyway. Like the Classified X58 4-way, Classified X79, they're all XL ATX. And the kind of strange thing about XL ATX is that it's not a really defined standard. So I think it's X79 EVGA boards. They're actually slightly wider than this board is. So it's just kind of a rough standard, so to speak. I'll try not to pull that off. So let's pull this guy out. Ooh, has foam on the bottom, that's cool. And first thing you'll notice, matte black PCB. Very, very nice. It's not brown or blue or green or whatever other color they can come up with these days. 8 RAM slots, and if you want to use 16 gig DIMMs, this board will actually support up to 128 gigs of RAM. So It's pretty impressive. In contrast, the Supermicro board, I believe, will do 512 if you use 32 gig DIMMs. Okay, let's, as usual, we'll start on the back. 24 pin, these are your V-check points here. That's what those little cables plug into. You stick your multimeter in there and you can get a real idea of what your voltage is. Power button here, and the reset button is here. If anybody wants to explain that to me, I'd love to hear it, but I think this is just ridiculous. It's like they're too lazy to move one of these. Anyway, come around. We have 10 SATA ports, but it's still X79, so 2 are native 6 gig, 4 are native 3 gig, and the other two sets here are from an external controller, Marvell or something, I don't know. Ew, whatever it is. You don't want to use it if you don't have to. And we have a USB 3 front panel header, which is in a great spot, and it's facing, parallel to the board. And the same thing with your PCI Express Xpower plug. Normally, like on an EVGA board in particular, it's up here. There's no possible way you can do a good clean cable management job. This is up here. So this is a great spot for it. And we have USB headers here. I think this one is for the super duper fast charge mode, like if you have an iPad or something, because it's colored red. This is just a regular USB header. We have our OC Genie multi-BIOS settings. I think the OC Genie will just overclock you to like 4 gigahertz or something. And multi-BIOS, I don't know what that does, but I'm sure I'll find out really soon. It has the now almost standard 4H or whatever they call it, the readout, instead of a speaker. And we come on around here, fan header, something. Then we have our B clock adjuster here, and PCI Express ceasefire, as they call it. It'll let you turn off individual PCI Express slots. Although some people have pointed out that if you're running quad SLI or quad Crossfire, these are going to be covered by this card. So this is kind of a stupid spot for these. Firewire header, if you're ever going to use that. I don't know if anybody still uses Firewire or not. You come around here, it says X-Fi in B2. This is actually supposed to be like a heatsink, but it's my understanding that it's a Realtek chip using X-Fi software. So, not as good as real X-Fi, but it's better than nothing. More fan headers, blah, 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 blah. And as you can see, we have 7 PCI Express slots. I'm not even going to try to explain how the lanes work on these, but just physically looking at it, X16, X8, 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 X16, X8, X8. But it's one of those where, depending on what your orientation of cards is, it affects the bandwidth of the other slots. So, I don't know. If you're really curious, you can go look it up somewhere else, because I can't tell you. I wouldn't be able to tell you. And up here, we have our 2 8-pin sockets. If you're really pushing some serious juice through the CPU, you plug in both of those, otherwise just this one. And got our minigun here, which actually is kind of functional. Most of this, well, some of it is metal, some of it's not, but it has the whole heat pipe thing going through it, and it's not entirely for show, but pretty close. We have our, goddamn, I still can't remember what those are called. Phases, whatever they are. Power goes through, goes to CPU, whatever. I'm not a super duper overclocker, so I don't really care that much. And on the back here, we have our 6.1 or 7.1 audio out, our 4 USB 3 ports, which are managed by some other controller on here, because Z77 and the 7 series non-X79 chipset that supports integrated USB 3, but these are some other controller. We have 2 Intel NICs again, similar to the Supermicro board, but I think it's a different controller. This is the 8274 and that's the i350, I believe. And we have 4 USB 2 ports here, Firewire, the coaxial digital audio out, and optical digital audio out. And right here we have a CMOS reset button, kind of in a weird spot, but okay. 2 more USB 2s and a combination PS2 keyboard mouse port here. I would imagine most people plug a keyboard in there for the key rollover and all that other nonsense. But it's always nice to have these PS2 ports. Those aren't going away anytime soon, I hope. And, oh, bullets. Don't forget the bullets. That's what makes this board what it is. Yeah, it is kind of cheesy, but this looks really good in real life. I don't think the pictures really do it justice. The minigun isn't as big as it looks, but the bullets are bigger than they look, so it all kind of works out. Yeah, LJ 2011 socket under here, as you would expect. I think that's about all I can say about that. But we'll put that 3930K on here and we'll run it to its limit. And hopefully I can get a good clock out of it, and hope this board works out for me. But yeah, until next time, this is the MSI Big Bang Xpower 2 motherboard, and we'll see you guys later.